Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shade for the championship. Bucking on Tampa, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, running like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this, and I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Goddamn right.
All right. Shout out to the fam, man. Man, welcome. Now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Shout out to you guys. Appreciate y'all for being in the live on this one, man. This Thursday, man. Hope you guys have had a fantastic start of your end of your Thursday. Actually getting ready for Friday, man. It's these weeks move by pretty damn fast, don't they? All right. Shout out to y'all. Appreciate y'all for being in the stream. Much love. JT, what's popping, brother? Good to see you in the building. OG Jerry, what's up, my brother? What's up, LaShawn in here. What's up? Good to see LaShawn in the building representing the mighty Who Dat Nation. Big ups to you, LaShawn. Shout out to Bev. What's up, Bev? Good to see you. Much love to you as well. Appreciate the queens and the kings of the Coma, 504 Cole, L-Dub. Big ups to you, my brother. Good to see y'all in the stream. Much love to everybody, man. Good to see y'all, man, on this Thursday stream, man. Y'all hit the one button if y'all can hear me just fine, man. Let me know y'all can hear me well, because we're going to talk a little Saints. I'm trying not to keep y'all too long in this broadcast. All right, Gundam. What's up, my brother? How you doing, man? Good to see you in the chat as well, man. All right, thanks, Bev. Appreciate Bev. Bev hit the one for me, brother Gundam. Good, man. All right, first and foremost, shout out to the family, man. Yeah, from the NFC South Roundtable, man. I was traveling, so I wasn't able to get on screen, but you guys heard the voice. But still in all, man, we always have fun. So shout out to my brethren at the NFC South roundtables that we do, man. Brother Dave, Rashad, Brother Lowe, and Big Game James. Shout out to him, man. What's up, Carlton? Shout out to my boy Carlton. Brother Wallace in the building as well. Good to see you. All right, Snake Bite. I see you, fam. Appreciate you as well. Yeah, shout out to them. Hope you guys, if you hadn't gotten an opportunity to watch the NFC South Roundtable, please check it out, man. It was a good show as usual, man. You know, we do what we do, man, and have fun on that thing. But anyway, fam, listen, man. This one here called Underdog Saints I the 49ers. This is not the preview stream. What's up, Dave? How you doing, brother? Good to see brother Dave in here. 992 Ras. Big ups to you, fam. Appreciate y'all for stopping by, man. Y'all hit that like button for your boy. And, you know, we kind of talk about this thing. This is not the preview stream. We'll do the preview of the 49ers tomorrow. I'm still setting up a guest for the show tomorrow. If not, then I'll just do it on my own. Y'all know how we do. We'll break it all down, man, and get into it. But yes. All right, big up. Oh, I see what you're saying. 504 Co says Q2320 Saints. Okay, I got you, brother. Hey, man, listen. The way I look at it is that the Saints, man, facing the 49ers team is missing a quarterback. What's up, Slim? that's missing a quarterback, that's missing that's this team banged up like I don't know what, man. What's up, Trey? This team banged up, man. This 49er team won't have its quarterback, Brock Purdy. It will not have one of the best tight ends in the business, not named Kelsey and Kittles. He's out. They got wide receivers issues up the wazoo. They got a lot of stuff going on. They still a lot of good players, but offensively, they're decimated early on in the year. And still are 3-point favorites over the New Orleans Saints. You won't talk about you won't talk about disrespect. How in the hell? Y'all tell me. Y'all tell me how that worked. How you missing your starting quarterback, your starting tight end, wide receivers are banged up, and you still a 3-point favorite to beat the Saints? I know, man. I don't know what to say about that one. Good Lord, man. That is something to behold. The disrespect is ridiculous. But anyway, man, listen, man. I just think it's fascinating that the Saints are still 3-point underdogs to a team missing their starting quarterback and a bunch of people. I just found that very hilarious. Anyway, let's touch into the injury report, man, as we get going. Slim, you got it right, bro. He says because the national media always hates the Saints. It is unfathomable, bro. How in the world could anybody justify that? And Mac Jones is supposed to be the starting quarterback, and it's like, even though you're missing all this, we still have Chris Olave, Elvin Kamara, Rashid Shaheed, all these other people, and still they're 3-point underdogs. It's just stupid. But in the end, we can change the narrative by kicking some tail, man. Saints need to win this game, and I think they will. All right, here's the injury report that was thrown out today by the New Orleans Saints facing off against the 49ers. Thursday injury report, of course, we know Julian Blackmon is still on the injury report, DNP'd. Tali Fuaga has a knee issue. He's on the right side of thing. He was out of it for Wednesday, but you see he was limited today. That's good. You see the progress. Trevor Penning also dealing with a toe. He's out for a number of weeks. He was DNP'd as well. Chase Young was, still is DNP'd as well. It could be an issue where Chase is not ready to go. 2 DNPs in a row usually lead to a DNP on Friday, which goes into a out. So it appears that Chase Young could be out for another week. Velus Jones Jr. popped up on that thing with a knee issue. He was limited. Zach Wood, our fantastic long snapper, was limited with an elbow issue. He was DNP Thursday. And usually when it goes limited to DNP, that's never a good sign. But we know that if anybody heard the report from Phil Galliano, he kind of talked about it. Shout out to the Saints Wire, did cover it. John Sigler talked about it. Zach Wood appeared in 133 games, trailing only Cam Jordan among active Saints. And he was just one of those type of players you don't really talk about, because he's been good for a long time. But Thursday's injury report kind of had him downgraded. And beyond that, Wood's value on special teams could be missing if he can't play against the Saints. It isn't as simple as having a center to snap the ball. Instead, given a difference in the technique and distance, we've seen a lack of backup plan cost teams games before. It wasn't too long ago the Saints tried out 4 or 5 different snappers at the position. But it'll be interesting to see how it worked. Now, Phil Galliano highlighted some players who could cover for Zach Wood. And Mike Triplett talked about it, that the list includes special practice squad wide receiver Cedric Wilson Jr., longtime special teamer Nephi Sewell, as well as rookie tight end Maliki Mutavo. If we weren't on injury reserve, he'd use John Ridgeway III. But as far as injuries go, Taysom Hill, who's still on the pup list, will be his first choice. That's what he said. So, but anyway, if Zach Wood can go, you look to guys Cedric Wilson Jr., Nephi Sewell, Mutavo, and Cedric Wilson Jr. and Nephi are both on the practice squad. The only guy that is mentioned there who is on the active roster is Mutavo. So if to move Cedric Wilson there, they would have to, obviously if Wood can't go, they'll deactivate him and put somebody in his place for the spot. And could it be one of these guys? We'll see as it rolls on, but we're getting very close. Galeano also said the team keeps a short list of free agents to call if they need it, but it says a lot that they haven't brought anyone in just yet. Yeah, we already in Thursday. So former UFL long snapper Logan Klausman tried out during the rookie minicamp, but it's been a while since the Saints have brought anyone in for free agent trials on that. That's because they found a serviceable replacement for Zach Wood, the long snapper, and more than likely it'd be either one of those three gentlemen, Cedric Wilson, Julius Nephi, or Matavo. We'll see what they do on that. Very interesting. All right, anyway, going back to this thing, man, y'all see it, is that Jordan Howden is also on the injury list. He fully practiced, had a little oblique issue, but outside that, the Saints looking tough. Chase Young, once again, facing week number 2 without playing. We'll see what happens on Friday's injury report, but I put my money on it that 2 DMPs could mean a third DMP, and we'll see. We'll see. All right, then we move on down to the 49ers, man. We know about the 49ers. Nick Bosa was NIR, which means not injured, resting, which he's just getting ready. Gross Matos, who's a former Panther defensive end, was DNP with a knee. Jawan Jennings, one of their wide receivers, banged up with a shoulder. He was DNP'd. Christian McCaffrey is getting rest. Brock Purdy was DNP'd, left shoulder and toe issues. Trent Williams is getting rest. Ben Barch, the guard, has knee and elbows. He was limited. Jordan James, the running back, excuse me, from Oregon, he has a finger issue. He was limited. Jordan Watkins, who's a wide receiver, was limited. Linebacker Luke Gifford with a knee will fully practice. And Mac Jones, despite the fact that he's filling in for Brock Purdy, he's dealing with a knee issue, but he's listed as fully practiced. And guard Dominic Pooney has a knee issue. He fully practiced. So you can see the 49ers injury report is a lot longer than ours. But yeah, they've been having issues at the wide receiver. Now they have issues with the tight end. And they already put on IR Kittles. Kittles is not mentioned on here, but he's on IR and out for a number of weeks. Brock Purdy is listed out for a number of weeks as well. And it's just a part of the game with the 49ers. They're catching hell early on, as you can see here. So, man, it's amazing. Then roster moves, they talked about they got a new kicker on their side of things. On Wednesday morning, the 49ers signed veteran kicker Eddie Pinero to a 1-year deal, entering his 8th NFL season. Said the decision to join the Niners was all about a winning culture. So remember, they talked about Moody. They did release the kicker Moody, who was really struggling, and they were really on him. A lot of the faithful for the 49ers side of things were all over that guy and how bad he was kicking, and they got him out of here and put Eddie Pinero in there to kick for him. And, of course, they known about, the team did bring back Kendrick Bourne, who played for him before, the wide receiver, come back on a 1-year deal. And he was spent his first 4 seasons with the Niners and his last 3 with the Patriots before coming back home there to play with their side of things. So, they're trying to get it all together, man. But, yeah, this is a game, man, when you talk about dealing with the San Francisco 49ers, that the New Orleans Saints should very well win. Ain't no doubt about it in my mind. I mean, when you are dealing with a team that's injured and is banged up as the 49ers are, man. I mean, you got to deal with McCaffrey. McCaffrey's the guy you got to deal with, but at the same time, man, the Saints need to level up. Well, I ain't even talk about them leveling up. They just need to handle business, man. Y'all know what y'all need to do. Just go ahead on and do it. That's all I'm saying, man. And also to keep it moving on the injured front here to talk about other things happening. We know that Tali Fuaga, who was dealing with a knee issue as well, Tali revealed the extent of his injury on the team. They talked about him, what happened to him. He said just before the halftime of Sunday's loss to the Cardinals, the pain in the tackles his tackles knee had become really sharp. But rather than sit, the 23-year-old reiterated to team officials that he planned to at least test it out after the break and then decided from there. Fuaga played in another 18 snaps the entire third quarter before the pain became unbearable. I had to pull it, Fuaga said, for sure. I got to be out there, man, but it's a long season ahead. Fuaga watched the rest of the game from the end of the bench. Days later, he still managed the knee injury that also caused him to miss Wednesday's practice. And the conversation with Tom's Picayune, Fuaga said he's dealing with an inflamed patellar tendon, the same issue that sidelined him for a few days near the end of August. He aggravated the injury further, he said, when he fell on the ground sometime in the second quarter against the Cardinals. Despite the injury, Tolly said he's optimistic he'll play Sunday against the Niners. He said he expects to practice Thursday. And of course, you guys remember looking at the injury record, and Tolly Fuaga was limited in practice today. So he did get a little practice in there. I'm going to be good this week, just making sure I'm good, making sure nothing's inflamed or anything, just making sure it's calmed down. Before exiting Sunday's performance, Hartley was Fuaga's finest. After playing left tackle as a rookie, the Saints this offseason moved Fuaga to the right side, his natural position, but the 23-year-old struggled. And according to PFF, the lineman allowed 4 pressures, one of which resulted in a sack on quarterback Spencer Rattler, in which he was, they threw him a holding play penalty on it. He's trying to hold the guy. He kind of hooked him around his neck, but the guy still got the sack. Fuaga admitted he was in my own head. Fuaga said at first he didn't notice he had aggravated his knee because of the adrenaline pumping during live action, but once Fuaga got back to the sideline after a drive, the pains kicked in. Not only affected Fuaga physically, but also mentally. I got to play way better. I know I could play way better. So that's Tyler. He said the Saints needed. Beyond investing that pick on him last year, New Orleans is already shorthanded on offensive line, with left guard Penning having been sidelined over the last month with turf toe. Penning, too, missed Wednesday's practice and Thursday's practice. Saints saw last year how devastated several injuries up front can be, and they obviously want to not repeat that scenario. But Fuaga said he's committed to addressing the issue. He said he has to figure out a new routine for managing the injury, similar to how he spent most of his rookie season rehabbing a back injury that occurred in training camp. This year, I got to have a routine for my knees, he said. Obviously, a routine I'm probably going to keep for the rest of my career just to make sure I never have these problems again. He says, we have to kick. We have to run, all based off the knee. The old linemen always have knee injuries, so I got to stay on top of it. As the franchise, the Saints know that reality better than most. Just last week, former left tackle Teron Armstead, shout out to Tyron Armstead, said that he needed a knee replacement at 34. Armstead revealed he was told that news in week 1 of last season, but he still managed to play 15 games. Armstead retired this offseason, dealt with knee problems for the majority of his 12-year career, including 9 with the Saints. Longtime Saint tackle Ryan Ramczyk missed the entire 24 season after retiring in offseason because of chronic knee issues. Those guys, they're ballers. But I know they had knee problems also. I don't want to be that guy to go through that kind of stuff. So that's Fuaga saying it. Yes, indeed. Well said there in that article, man, because when them big guys start getting those knee issues, fam, that's tough. That's tough. Yeah, you're right about Teron Armstead. Ryan Ramczyk, it stole the second half of his career away from Ryan Ramczyk. Was one of the top 5 offensive tackles. And then right after the first 4 years and right after he signed that contract, he had that issue, I think, toward that 4th year, the end of that 4th year going into that 5th year, he started having those issues, and he was not the same player for the remaining of the career. It's tough. So Tyler just has to watch it, man. We gonna pray for him and hope that everything works well for him. What's up, Jason? Shout out to you. Bullet Family Travel Vlog. Big ups to y'all. Roll, what's popping, fam? All right. Yeah. It's interesting, man. Yeah, with the Saints guy, hey man, the Saints offensive line, they're dealing with these injuries, and the guy mentioned it in the article. It kind of choked me up a little bit because I was going back in my mind remembering last year what happened, in the third game of the season when the injury started. It started with McCoy, and then it barreled downhill when they lost McCoy. They didn't have a backup plan for him. They shuffled the offensive line. It was a mess. The backups that came in weren't very good. And even though those guys weren't very good, we got better backups. But, is that, it's just one of them things you got to deal with. But the good news is Tolly is playing, appears to be in line to play against the 49ers. And man, I tell you, bro, we just got to stay on top of it. That's why I say the Saints got to stay strong on having depth behind them. But we need to go and have, make sure we have a veteran offense. We got Akeem Richardson and Xavier Truss and all these other guys that we brought on the team. These guys got to be ready to play, man. But also another thing that helps the Saints is that they got to be able to just be, keep that fast temperament. Like they got to be able to be decisive and get the ball out on time. Guys got to make the blocks. Guys got to make the catches. They got to have, and on top of that, Kellen Moore has to have the proper personnel in there too, man. Against the Niners, man, they most certainly have to get right against this team. All right, fam, let's keep it moving, man. Let's go to this article right here. Shout out to the Who Dat Dish in the building. Saints' biggest red flag on offense isn't being talked about enough. I found this article very fascinating. Somebody sent me this, and I want to go over it with you guys, right? Drew Collins, shout out to Drew, spoke about this main thing about him. You see a picture of Spencer Rattler right here. National media will go on and on about the areas of concern for the Saints. However, they failed to mention the one that is lingering from the 2024 season, their inability to finish in the red zone. Doesn't matter if the offense puts together long drives. If they can't cap it off, the Saints need to improve this to have any chance of success this year. The Saints struggled in the red zone, were already present in Sunday loss to the Cardinals. They weren't able to finish the drives that proved to be the difference in the game. New Orleans attempted 3 field goals while in the red zone. In addition, they couldn't convert on a last-second play to tie the game. Their inability to finish in the red zone isn't a new problem. A major reason the Saints have struggled finishing drives is the lack of a red zone threat. Good point. The Saints' recent moves showed this was obviously a concern going into the season. They now have 2 formidable threats currently on the roster. Who are they? He mentions formidable threats, and some people might laugh about it, but these guys are guys that can help. Juwan Johnson and Devon Valley are the Saints' top red zone targets. First off, Juwan Johnson is an excellent option, according to the writer. Family members might have a sour taste after he couldn't reel in the game-tying touchdown catch last game, but an exceptional play from Budda Baker caused that. Johnson's a big-bodied former wide receiver at the tight end position. He'll be available, an option in the red zone. Now, my thing is this. Budda Baker might have reached. It wasn't Budda Baker. I don't think Budda Baker was the one that reached in there and did that. That was the safety, Johnson, I want to say. Because Budda Baker was positioned under, I think Budda passed underneath Juwan. It was the other guy. It was Johnson. I think the man was Johnson. Name was Johnson that pulled that ball out. Or Thompson or Johnson. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is 2 hands, 2 arms beat a hand. And if you watch they got enough pictures on that kind of stuff. I really don't want to talk about it after this, but when you are catching a touchdown, it's not just a regular ball a guy is throwing to you, it's a touchdown ball, which puts a heightened sense of, oh my God, I gotta grab this thing and whatever. The guy had 1 hand. This guy had 2 hands. Right, he caught it, juggled it, then recaptured it with both hands, then pulled it into his cradle. Cradled it. 2 arms wrapped like this. That hand ain't supposed to pull that out of there. If you got it like you're supposed to and you secure it in the cradle, you going down to the ground like that with that ball in the cradle. They know Juwan Johnson knows that. 2 arms beat some guy. The only hand in there ripping the ball out or something like that is Superman and the Incredible Goddamn Hulk, which that guy wasn't. So, like I said, man, I just see it as such. If you get put in a position, you got to make the play. No excuses about it. If your hands touch the damn ball, you come down with it. That's a known cardinal rule in the NFL. It ain't nothing new. That's been said 4 years and it won't stop. If your hands touch the ball, you got to catch it and bring it in. That's what they're paying you for. But anyway, getting back to the article, he says that the second player is new acquisition Devon Valley. The Saints love Valley as they traded away a 2026 fourth-round pick for him. He's a big receiver, 6'5", 210, feels the physical contested catch receiver that the Saints desperately need. I agree on that. Watch for Veli to be a perimeter target in the red zone. The final concern is the quarterback position. Now, before we jump to the quarterback position, let's talk about Veli. Now, I think Veli had like 17 reps in the Saints matchup against the Cardinals, right? That it for me, and maybe the play was because Veli wasn't up to speed on the playbook like he was supposed to be, which is interesting because they got him late. Well, I say late into preseason, but you still, you're gonna have to find a way to get him involved, and that's the Saints' fault because whether it was Veli or another player, the mindset going into training camp was the Saints need a big wide receiver. Everybody said it. We said it on the show. Everybody said it. Everybody knew it because they know football. People know football. You need a big physical wide receiver to play opposite of your smaller, speedier guys. That's just that helps balance everything off. And me personally, I would like to have at least two of those type of receivers. The Saints say, okay, we'll get one, and they bring him in there late. Regardless or not, you're gonna have to get that guy involved. Whatever plays you're running in the red zone, we talked about this, and I even throw another player in there, whether it would not just Veli, 6'5" Veli, but the tallest skill player you have is Matavo. Matavo's 6'8". He's 6'8". He's a 6'8" tight end. You need to utilize those guys in the red zone. You got a 6'8" tight end. you gotta say you struggling in the red zone with a 6'8" tight end and a 6'5" wide receiver. Well, you're only struggling because you ain't utilizing them guys because they're rookies or these guys are inexperienced. Regardless or not, you got them on the active roster. You got to put them in there, inexperienced or not. They have to. They've caught. They're gonna have to get used to it quick. If you make the active roster, those guys got to be brought along. And nothing brings along raw and unexperienced player than live game reps. It's like putting, whatever the solution is they use to grow Jack and the Beanstalk, whatever they put in there to make it supercharged. That's what those reps are like for these inexperienced players. You're giving them live game reps, help them to develop faster. So that's what we need to do with guys like Matavo in the red zone, 6'8", or Veli, 6'5", Jawan 6'3" or 6'4", whatever he is. You need your big skill players in the red zone to make plays for you. With Spencer scrambling around, let him throw the ball up to 6'5" Veli who can jump and get it. Let him throw the ball up to 6'8" Matavo. These guys got to be involved, family. Inexperienced or not, if they're on the active roster, they have to contribute to the Saints winning games. They have to, especially against the 49ers. It'll be a slap in the face for Kellen Moore if his Saint team can't go into the dome on Sunday at 12 o'clock Central Time, defend the dome against a severely banged up 49er team, missing his starting quarterback, missing some of his wide receivers, missing his best tight end. The guys, the backups are there. They stepped up in the week one matchup, but still in all, a team without Brock Purdy coming to your building with Mac Jones, no disrespect to Mac Jones, and they still have the 49ers as a 3-point favorite with all that going on, the Saints need to smack the 49ers down. They got to come out, defend the dome, get after them, fluster them, force the ball, pick him off, knock him on his ass, force fumbles, run the ball and speed the offense. Do what you got to do to cut all that foolishness out. And the pregame penalties is unacceptable. That's unprofessional football. It's unprofessional. They got to handle that business. So, that's just a part of it. He got to learn this. He has to learn his personnel better, being Kellen. I know Kellen's a rookie head coach, but he has to learn that, man. The final concern is quarterback Spencer Rattler is still unproven, especially in the red zone. One area he needs to exploit is his legs. He has enough mobility to expend plays, extended and scramble, particularly in the red zone. This would also give receivers extra time to find open space. Rattler is a key part in improving the red zone offense. This is true. And Rattler does use his legs. That's one thing the Saints were using RPO plays with Spencer Rattler. They know he's mobile enough to turn the corner and make plays. They know Spencer he took off in the first week. When he see green, he takes off, picks up 4 or 5 yard slide, and lives to fight another day. That's the thing I like about Spencer. That's what I think I like about some of these mobile guys is they're a dual threat. They put pressure on the defense. Defense ain't gonna just sit back there and look around to see if they can fill holes and take up space so your wide receivers can't make plays. No, you're not gonna sit here and double this guy. If Spencer Rattler is a threat to be able to take off and run, you have to spy him and keep an eye out on him. And he is learning that it's a part of his arsenal that with the mobility he has, let me go get this 5 or 6 yards right quick. If the offensive line parts like the Red Sea and I see green all in front of me, I'm gonna go get about 5, 10 yards and put a little shimmy shake on this guy, see what I can do. He has, he mentioned that in some of these press conferences about knowing, when you see something, just take off and make the play with your legs, and that stresses the defense. But yeah, he definitely has to make better decisions. I want him to get him to throw his ball up a little higher. A lot of his passes, when I was looking at the film, was a low to the ground, and it kind of prevented receivers from turning and making plays. So I think it's some stuff to improve right there. But let's see. But the Saints have the pieces. They don't have any excuses to struggle in the red zone. Short field goals are nice, but won't be enough to win the games. They need to convert drops to touchdowns for chance and success in 2020. Man, right about that. You can't call yourself trying to win games and you're kicking a bunch of field goals. If you get down to the red zone, you got to convert. You got to get down there. You got to get in the end zone. You get these touchdowns. That is big. That's huge, man. To break the backs of your opponents, your ops. So we got to get down there, man. We got to have the proper personnel. We got to execute properly, man. And I want to see what they're going to do about it. Been hearing all the talk this week. And listen, Spencer Rattler is what is he? What is he? 0-7 as a starter? Spencer Rattler, what is his record? Spencer's record, his starting record is 0-7, isn't it, family? I think he isn't 0-7. Y'all let me know in the chat. I know he played 8 games in the 0-7. What's up, Marcus? Shout out to Marcus. What's up, my brother? How you doing tonight? What is he? 0-7. I want to say thank you, Pelicans. Nola say 0-7. Well, listen, fam, this could be his first professional win. It better be. It better be a win. I mean, my goodness. I mean, these people banged up. You can't let Mac Jones come into the New Orleans Superdome and throw it against that banged up wide receiver core. Kittle ain't even in there. No, I ain't disrespecting the 49ers, but I'm saying, man, y'all ain't the same if y'all don't have Purdy and Kittles in there. They're not the same. Bro, they're not the same. The 49ers are not the same without Brock Purdy and Kittle. Let's just be honest. That's keep it all the way funky. Now, it's something to worry about if you got Brock Purdy in there because Brock Purdy knows Shanahan's system like the back of his hand. He's perfectly for that. He works perfectly for that system. He knows Shanahan's system, and he has a ultimate security blanket in Kittle. They got a lot of stuff. But if you missing your starting quarterback, this guy is really good for him. You're missing one of the best tight ends in the game. That drops you down a bit. And also it's the fact that they give him, I know it's the hate. OG Jerry said it, man, because they don't like us. Well, I don't like their ass either. But anyway, the bottom line is how you going to justify putting these people as a 3-point favorite? Goddamn people missing. That's not like, that's disrespect, man. That goes beyond not liking you. That's disrespectful. If a some bitch gonna tell you that I still am gonna give them 3 to beat you in your building now, in your damn building. No Kittle, no Purdy, receivers hurt, but they still gonna beat your ass in your building by 3. That ain't got nothing to do with like. That's total disrespect. So, like I said, man, the Saints got to lay some smack down on this 49er team to get right, man, for real, man. That's what we need to do. What's up, Deputy Mario? He says, can I watch the game at Champion Square in New Orleans? I don't know if you can watch it at Champion Square. I know they be having certain things set up there. I don't know if you can watch the game outside, but I don't know. I don't know, my brother. Gundam says, remember when Aikman went 0-12? Well, yeah, I remember that. Troy Aikman was because when he came into the year, I think it was 89, if I'm not mistaken, when Troy Aikman came into the uh to the NFL. I want to say it was 1989 or something like that when he was a rookie. Somewhere along in there, yeah, he was bad. So was Peyton Manning. A lot of them guys that were really good at toward the back end of their careers started off shaky as hell. But yeah, I think Spencer Rattler should get his first. He should get his first win against this team, man, and they all busted up, from offensive side of things. Plus, they got a new special teams kick. They got a new kicker in there. A lot of stuff not working. A lot of stuff is bad. They banged up, man. You got to take advantage of that. All right, let's hit this one right here, fam. What's up, Dedrick? Shout out to brother Dedrick, man. Let's hit this article right here, man. Saints bolster pass rush with rookie release quarterback, rookie QB. Right, and the Saints adjusted the practice squad yesterday and shuffling in the week. They made a quiet move by bringing back Fadil Diggs to the practice squad and get rid of Hunter Deckers. They're doing that little game because they know Fadil Diggs more than likely is going to be lined up for another appearance coming up this week because of the fact that Chase Young once again is on the DMP side of things. Wednesday and Thursday was DMP. We'll see what Friday is. I'm leaning more toward the DMP side of things that we won't see Chase, and you probably will see what they did last time when they activated Fadil Diggs and Jonah Williams. Had those guys in there to make some plays. So they're not rushing Chase Young along, but he's still dealing with injuries, that calf issue. So, man, listen, the Saints should be able to beat the 49ers without Brock Purdy, without Kittles, and without Chase Young. They should be. If you can't do that, bro, then I don't know what to say about the New Orleans Saints team, all this kind of stuff. Y'all got more than enough. Them people banged up. You got more than enough talent. You got brains. You got common sense to not hurt yourself. You need to handle your damn business against a team. And then also play the respect angle too, the underdog role and the disrespect role. Whatever you got to do, Kellen Moore, to galvanize these guys, to get them to play a respectable brand of football full time, a full game. Now, don't get me wrong, they had some hardy moments in there where they did some positive stuff, but I won't fool. That means shit if you ain't do it for the majority of the game. You're making tackles and doing all this kind of stuff, and on the back end, you can't close the game and to win it or tie. You're missing field goals and dropping touchdown pass. That ain't gonna cut it. That ain't gonna cut it. That'll put you at the back of the line every time. We need not to be doing this sort of stuff. All right, anyway, man, let me keep it going, man, and jump on to it. Then let's bring it on over here to this fella right here, man. Y'all know about this guy all too well, man. Y'all know about this gentleman right here. It's the slick one. It's the slick Mickey. We'll go over this interview right here momentarily, man. But it's just something to think about, man. Pammy, what's up, Pammy? Says Q, we do not fare well against second string QBs. Remember Josh Dobbs? Oh, my God, Josh Dobbs. Pammy brung up Josh Dobbs. That was one of the best examples that you can have of how the Saints totally squandered that. Josh Dobbs was picked up by the Vikings. I wanted to say like it had to be less than 5 days before the Saints game. He didn't even have the full playbook and ran around like he was there for 6 months on the Saints. Remember Josh Dobbs and Peyton? I think that was the Chicago QB. I just don't know. Yeah, I think Josh Dobbs, wasn't he with the 49? I know he was with the who was it? What team was it? With the Vikings, fam? I want to say it was the Vikings where Josh Dobbs ran around on us with. But regardless or not, that's on that garbage Tom Dennis Allen. This team with a new mentality, new leadership, that can't be the case. What's up, TT says, you don't ask for respect, you demand. There you go, brother. That being said, I don't care what they say. We got to focus on it. They're going to respect us in due time. That's right, T. Good comment, brother. I like the power and energy in that. All right. Yeah, Pelicans Chase got paid and didn't play. He might be out for another week, man. We'll see. Yeah, Rose says, yeah, Decker and Hayner is the modern day JT Barrett. I don't know how many times they cut JT Barrett, but they cut him. I don't know how many times. Had to be at least 8 or 9 times, maybe more than that. It was a lot of times, man. I think that happened over a period of years too. L Dub says yes, it was the Vikings. Now he's with the Patriots. Yep. Dedrick says they downplayed Chase injury, but he is on pace to miss his second straight. We got to be more serious then. But yeah, they are, and perhaps this is something where the Saints are just playing it safe. You know what I'm saying? They know safe. They're looking at it as a long season, and they're just taking it very easy with Chase, and that's good because the Saints have the depth to do that, right? You know, they Chris Rump and Fadil Diggs, Jonah Williams, if they need these guys. The Saints have really good depth defensively where they can be able to not have to stress their players, you know, and just allow them to heal organically so that the season they'll be ready for the longer season, right? We're trying to do something down the line. Yeah, Duke said, "What's up, Duke? Shout out to you, bro." Yeah, Pam, a good comment. We just have to, regardless of what we've seen the last 4 years, or even prior to that, the Saints have to, you know, scrub all that out of their minds, man, and they're gonna have to play respectable football. If you know, and I'm saying all this if stuff, but then it shouldn't be playing for no ifs. It has to be more certainties than that. These guys know how to play football. It's time for them to get their ass together. It's time they get it together. All right, family, and like I said, man, it'll be interesting to see how that plays. So, hey, man, we'll witness it here. All right, so anyway, man, let's hear about Mickey Loomis. This is an interview from WWL. Shout out to WWL. Mickey Loomis usually does these interviews every Thursday or so. I don't think he did one last week. I'm not certain. But this is Mickey's thoughts on what happened this past week. I'm going to kind of speed it up a little bit. Y'all know how I go. I like to hit it a little faster and get on through it because some of it it can be kind of boring. And that go to play right here. You can see Juwan Johnson right here. This is the picture right here, matter of fact. Y'all can see the guy took. Look how that ball, that's not cradled properly. That's not cradled properly, man. Look how he got that ball, man. That's not how you do. That's how that guy could reach in there and look at his hand in there and pull it out. That's not even the right. That's not how you. That's Buda Baker right here. Buda Baker's underneath him. Look at this ball. That ball's not. That's not how you do it, man. You put that ball between both them arms, man. That guy can't pull that ball out of there, man. But anyway, let's roll into it.
Look, like you know, anytime that you have a game, there's you walk away obviously feeling badly about the loss. But I also came away kind of encouraged about a lot of things. You know, we had a lot of new players, moving parts, new staff, and there were some good things. You know, I thought we moved the ball pretty well. I thought we played really good defense, particularly in the second half. We had a couple of explosive plays that got away from us in the first half, led to points for them. And, you know, we had some good things that have happened that didn't lead to points for us. You know, we were 1 for 4 in the red zone. And, you know, you have to be able to score touchdowns, preferably at about a 75% clip at least, but you can't be at 25% or 20%. And so.
All right. So Mickey's right. You can't be at 25% clip, man. And so let's see how he addresses it, man.
Spencer did some really good things. And I thought, you know, that the offensive line with a lot of moving parts there, new parts, did some good things. And yet there was just, you know, the one or two plays that would have made the difference in terms of the outcome of the game.
Yeah, the red zone's a unique stat. You can get away with it sometimes if your defense is keeping them to 25%, but they were 67% in the red zone and 2 for 2 goal to go. So that you're right. I mean, that stat can tell a lot.
Yeah, it can tell. It does tell a lot. You know, each week because you're going to get 10 possessions, and you know, if you can get down at least in the scoring area on 5 or 6 of those, you're going to have a good chance to win, but not if the 5 or 6 are field goals and not touchdowns. And so I think that was kind of the story. If you looked around the league outside of that Buffalo-Baltimore game, the scoring was, you know, there was a lot of 10 points, 13 points, 18 points, 17 points, you know, a lot of games like that. And I think that's a product really of the way teams practice and play in the preseason. You know, you're getting less reps and oftentimes at the early part of the season, the offense is behind.
It also doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and then the debate, family, about it's a long-standing debate that'll continue to swell and roll as long as it's preseason football, is the fact that should you play your starters in the preseason or not? Now, a lot of this happened when there was a time when coaches used to do that, when they used to play uh, their starters in the season, and then they got ridiculed for that when guys would start getting hurt in the preseason, and it would prevent them from being ready for the regular season. Like these guys would be getting hurt seriously in the preseason for what was his term games that don't count versus not being ready for the ones that do. So that was something that happened that kind of, I don't know, I won't say scared coaches from doing this type of thing, but there are still some that do practice that, and it makes sense. You know, it's a gamble either way. But that's why a lot of teams look like they do in week one, in the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, because they're simply not, um, they haven't built up the synergy, the chemistry, the harmony, that a team needs to have. And most of that happens like you can begin training camp or even in practice, running and doing it, but it really comes together under the lights. And the preseason games are as the closest you can get in terms of a simulation to a real NFL game, real NFL regular season game, to be more, precise. But this is the thing. Week one football looks shabby. A lot of teams, you watch a lot of the teams, they just didn't look prepared and ready. It's because of the preparation in the preseason, how they handle it. And that debate's going to swell on, man, for a while. How you do it. Like the Saints did some stuff. And then on top of that, remember I played that clip from James Hurst. James Hurst mentioned that the reason why, he believed that the Saints, offense didn't have the synergy and chemistry that we thought they should have is because of the fact that the Saints took a long time to decide on who the quarterback was going to be. And he believed that, by doing that, it slowed everything down, because if the head coach was more decisive in who the quarterback was going to be, then you could have then taken that quarterback and put him in with the offense and then allowed them to give back battle went down to the last preseason game, as opposed to because of the closeness of it. But in the end, he believed that was a part of the reason why things was a bit disjointed, because you were splitting reps between quarterbacks here, that, and the third, and this guy playing with the first team, then this guy playing with the first team, and it is just it was kind of threw things off. But that's his thought process. But we'll see, man. We'll see how it all goes, because I often said over the last several years or more that it takes anywhere between 3 to 4 weeks before you start really seeing the team start to round out, so to speak, around the edges out. And you start seeing them develop into something like you start seeing they have an idea of who they are and what they're trying to do. The first week, second week, and then, like I said, you learn and win as much as you can, right? Like in the first week, the Saints, regardless of all of the dumb penalties that they had and the stuff that they did, the Saints ultimately should have won that game. They had that game. Carolina did nothing that was anything special. The Saints defense kept Kyler Murray under control with all the scrambling. He did scrambling here or there, but he didn't cut him up like he known to cut him up. But with the running and the scrambling, a lot of that was self-inflicted by the Saints being undisciplined, taking poor shingles with the tackling, just all other stuff. You know what I'm saying? We'll have to relive it. But they have to change all that coming this week. Week one, you should have won. You didn't. Week two, you got a team that's banged up, quarterback missing, tight end missing. That coming into your building, you got to win that game. You have to win that game before you hit the road against Seattle. You got to win that game. So that's a part of it.
That some crews, and I'm not going to ask you to talk about the officiating, but called it tight, like beginning of the season. Hey, we're going to call this tight. But that is an area, certainly 13 and 89, that from any team has to get cleaned up.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got, listen, a lot of those were self-inflicted pre-snap penalties, and that's all on us. We have to get that corrected, and we will.
Spencer, you talked about 27 to 46, 214, only the one sack, no pick, very efficient.
Now, notice they cut that. Mickey was about to go into it, and WWL cut that segment off, and he went to the next question. I wonder what he was really going to say, because he got into it, and then they cut it roughly. the pre-snap penalties and all this kind of stuff. He didn't make no excuses for that. He said they're going to get it together, and they will. We're going to see in the next game. I think they will too, man. It's hard to look bad, worse than that.
Smart with the football, ran the offense and ran an up-tempo offense almost the whole game. That was impressive. I would assume you're not wanting him throwing it 46 times in a game every week.
No, that's not an assumption. That's a fact.
Okay.
we don't really want to throw it 46 times. Again, I think when you look back at it and you just review the game, yeah, we had 5 sacks. That was really good. We had a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and we only gave up 1 sack. And I thought Spencer manipulated and moved around the pocket in a good fashion that kept us from having sacks. I thought the O-line did a really good job of protection. Obviously, you want no turnovers, but we want takeaways, and we didn't get those. We had I thought a couple of opportunities that maybe to get a turnover. It didn't happen, but again, they listen. Let's give them credit. They made counted and won the game.
I bet I was asked.
We know.
Well, that's what and what's interesting. I'm sorry about these ads, fam. What's interesting is they made mention of the pre-snap penalties, the 9 takeaways, not taking the ball away, not getting any interceptions. I think the Saints had like 4 or 5 sacks in the matchup. Like it gets to a point like where if you're the offense got to put touchdowns on the board. If fans are butts about it, they got to put touchdowns on the board. And that's the key to getting it done. I think the defense did enough in the first game where we should have put another touchdown on the board. It shouldn't have been as close as what it was. But then ultimately, like I said, it's still a learning process, a growth process. And all it's life in NFL is about adjusting. It's about adjustments. And do the Saints have the ability to adjust? Kellen Moore talked about it. A little washing of the offensive line did a good job, such and such. Spencer Rattler scrambled out of there and avoided at least what I remember seeing on tape, at least 2 or 3 times he could have been sacked. Right? His legs got him out of harm's way. It was a guy who reached around Cesar Ruiz and grabbed on his jersey, and he was able to break away and run away. So it was his legs got him out of trouble, got him out of sacks. But it was a couple of plays, more than a couple of plays, where I seen Cesar Ruiz open the door, or guys come running in there, and the quarterback had to either make a quick throw or throw the ball away or scramble for his life. So, like I said, man, another week. These guys have to get better, man. It's no way of looking around that tape. They got to improve, man, for real, man. Here we go.
Has he lost a step? And I kept saying, no, man. If you saw practice in Metairie, for answers, no. If you saw California, no. If you saw anything, I mean, and I guess to me, he was never this elusive burner from the 40, right? But it was just he's got this way of zigging when you zag and that tiptoeing down the sideline. I mean, he looks as strong and as fast and as smart as he did, 4 years ago.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, his superpower is balance. And he runs really hard. He's just a really, really smart player. And, to his credit, he pays close attention to his body, his physical condition. He has an off-season program that he does, an individualized off-season program that he does that I don't think many guys could keep up with. That's a credit to him. And obviously we need him to be at his best, and I think that he is.
His touchdown was the 1,000th in Caesars Superdome as we celebrate our 50th anniversary. I don't know who found that stat. Amazing in and of itself, from the line of scrimmage up, regular season and postseason. A lot of guys played a role in that, but it's kind of cool that Alvin is the guy that did it.
Yeah, and it's really a cool stat, and it speaks to a lot of things. Obviously, the players and the coaches that have designed those plays and executed those plays to score touchdowns, but it's also a product of a lot of great work by a lot of people in this state and with the team who have kept the Superdome relevant. And, it's a fabulous stadium. It's still a fabulous stadium. It's been kept up to date with the renovations that have been done over the years. And it's real credit when you look around and you see places that have gone through 3 stadiums. That's not very efficient. It's not in my mind, that's well, let me give the credit to my predecessors and the owners and of the team and the state and local officials who have kept the Superdome relevant and done really right by the taxpayers of Louisiana.
I want to go backwards a little bit. Training camp in Metairie started here, then Irvine, then the 2 home games, the pop-up practice, joint practice with the Rams, invaluable. Felt like training camp, couldn't have gone much better. Now, we only had one 10-minute.
They've taken this video down 3 times because it.
All right. These ads right here, fam. On it. Let me keep it going. Here we go.
Rain in Metairie, and we didn't have any lightning. We didn't get forced inside. I mean, somebody told Kellen that this is not how it always is, right? But things went. I mean, there's always some injuries, but nothing like last year.
Yeah, well, a couple things there. I agree. Kellen didn't get the real August of Louisiana, late July, August of Louisiana. That was really good. We didn't have to adjourn practice and go inside, not a single time. The goal was going to California was A, to get out of the heat, and B, to get a couple practices in with originally the Chargers. It ended up being the Rams. That's really good work for us, especially when you've got a lot of new young players and new players to the team. That was really good for us. Look, I think our injury rate has been down, and that's a credit to Ted Rath and the strength and conditioning coaches, our trainers. They've ramped up our sports performance and analytics in order to try to get a handle on the injuries that we've had over the last few years. A lot of it is a product of dehydration and the heat and the circumstances that we have to deal with here, but we've got to adjust to that because that's not going to go away in the future, and we do need to conduct a good portion of our training camp here in New Orleans. So yeah, it was pretty good from that respect.
Roster moves.
Getting Tom Rath here was a part of the injury situation where he talked about getting guys in football shape. When guys play football, it's different than them running track. So you don't train them the same way. It was a very interesting interview when you listen to Tom Rath talk about it, he called it spurt ability. And when athletes fire off the line and then they stop. He talked about training them to prepare their body for that type of physicality. And it was a very interesting process of thinking from Tom Rath. And I don't know if they added any other talent around here, but that's been a very talking point. That's been a very strong talking point about how good is the Saints health staff. Right now, the team started the season actually we were pretty healthy. We had a couple of guys here or there, but the team started the regular season pretty much healthy. All of the top talent is there. We know Penning is missing with a turf toe issue. Chase Young has a calf, but outside of that, the Saints have been very fortunate. I mean, outside we lost Julian Blackman, and the depth is really strong with the Saints. So we'll talk about that a little later. But yeah, Mickey is a spinster. He's going to spin some of this stuff. He's not going to actually give you the unvarnished truth about the New Orleans Saints because he gets paid by the Saints, so he's going to spin it in their favor. So just remember that when you listen to his comments.
Made Fidel Diggs your 7th-round pick active for Sunday today. Jack Stoll to the active roster, and then re-signed Hunter and Jake, both quarterbacks, to the practice squad. I mean, the Jack situation, because of the pup with Foster and Taysom, it almost felt like if you didn't do that, you were going to have to get, unless you alternated tight ends, bringing them up. Yeah,
those are just, we're just manipulating and managing the roster, and we have tools to do that. We have the practice squad, and we have elevations off the practice squad, and we used a couple of those this week. You only get 2 per week, so we have to be a little bit judicious on how we use it, and we also don't want to use, for each player, they have a 3 elevation max, and so we have to, pay attention to making sure we have some of those in our pocket for later in the season. So we're just managing the roster.
I wanted to talk about the end of the preseason. Typically, it's what we see. You pick up a player, you're always getting better, And maybe he's an active roster, but more times than not, maybe he's a practice squad. But this year, it was,
After my car accident, I thought the
But it sure got a lot of stuff in these, don't they, fam?
baseball for a while, right? Right after Jacksonville, Luke Fortner for Colin Saunders. Now, you'd already had Will Clapp and Nick Saliveri. So that move, even though it happened right after the game, had been in books, right? You've been looking at it.
Some of that's a product of players that we really had an eye out for over the course of the preseason, and some of it's a product of injuries. We had some injuries in the offensive line kind of in the mid to late end of training camp, and so we had to address that. I think, spent the entire offseason trying to bolster and improve our receiving group. We got a lot of receivers we like on the roster, but we wanted to add to that in terms of just different skill sets. So, you're always looking, and sometimes there's years where, a player didn't come free at the position you're looking for, or somebody in particular that you like that you think might come free doesn't. Sometimes there's trades available and sometimes there aren't. And I felt like this year there was a lot of teams that were maneuvering their rosters around, and some, if you have a strength at a particular position, they give you some assets to bolster an area of your roster that maybe isn't as strong.
And same kind of thing with Devon Vele, pre-Denver. You get a 6'5" guy, you get Awesome Richards. These are all trades. I guess that was the difference of this picking up a guy that might have been on the waivers. But you did also, do you call it that you were awarded Trey Palmer or you claimed Trey Palmer?
Good question. Yeah. Well, what happens is that you make these claims, right? And you're awarded based upon your priority on the list. And so if a number of teams are claiming a player, then obviously it goes to the priority list, which is determined at the first cut by the draft order. Right. And so, yes, we were awarded Trey Palmer
and Xavier Truss.
Xavier Truss, yes. Devon was an interesting deal for us because we had kind of had our eye on him from the very beginning. Months ago, we talked about players that might be available. We knew he was never getting cut. He was a really good player for Denver, but they had a lot of receivers that they liked, and a number of guys that had the size and skill set that Devon has. So obviously, we have a relationship with the Denver people.
Yeah, but it's always felt like the other way around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sometimes that's worked that way, but in this case, we talked to him a lot about Devon, and I know that he didn't really want to trade him, but when you have an abundance at a position, sometimes you kind of forces your hand if you get the right offer.
And you really,
and Sean Payton made sure he got the right offer for Mickey Loomis, right? Made him give up the extra picks. That's why I was very interested to see where the Saints placed the value on them giving up those that extra pick. They gave up 2 picks for the guy. The guy needed to be in the top 3 receivers. Even if you got him late, you got to get him out there because his size, nobody else has that in the receiving corps. Saints didn't do anything else outside of going and find any other receivers. Even on the practice squad, if you look at other practice squads, there are other players on these practice squads where you could pilfer off. The Saints have not done a job in finding another bigger wide receiver to add to the team. We just got Vele and everybody else, and they got to utilize that size, man, no doubt. So, and Mickey Loomis said it was keeping their eyes on them. And of course, it's always going to be questions with Mickey Loomis when he's making trades with Sean Payton. It's just always going to be the case because, in my estimation, I think Mickey Loomis be a little too generous in terms of what he do. And Sean Payton kind of said that they had multiple suitors after Vele and all this kind of stuff. We'll never know if that's the truth or not. But like I said, with Mickey Loomis, there's always something with Sean Payton in him.
I don't want to see because Awesome Richards was signed on 8/26. He was forced into action. Right? He's playing, right? Devon played, and 4 weeks from now, maybe there are plays. But he's your red zone guy. He got 3 touchdowns in the red zone last year, 41 catches, 26 of them were first downs. These guys really have not had a whole lot of time with your team.
No, they haven't, and yet they were called into action. Week 1. And look, that will improve as the season goes on, as they get acclimated to our offense and our schemes, and our coaches get acclimated to them. So that will improve. But again, there's 2 young players that have experience at positions that we felt we needed.
Last week, he had a press conference, Teron Armstead. He was also the legend of the game.
All right. So anyway, I'm going to stop it right there. If y'all want to listen to the full interview, please feel free to go to WWL's channel and listen to as much as you can stand from Mickey Loomis as he's kind of talking about what's going on with the black and gold, giving it spin. But yeah, that's another thing. It's not like the Saints don't have the personnel They're just not using them in a way that's successful to the offense. I mean, it's just, I think that if you have to get those guys involved if you give up that much for them. Anyway, let's keep it moving, man. And yeah, that's true. Shout out to this, man. It is true that the Saints are working on closing in for another deal with the Dome. Saints closing in on Superdome lease, another 10-year signing, right, for the Saints to be in the Dome, right? Saints and Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry's teams are closing in on a long-term lease for the Caesar Superdome that aims at keeping the franchise rooted in New Orleans for at least another decade. According to the sources, the deal, which could be announced as soon as next week, culminates with more than a year of grueling, often contentious negotiations. Sources say the agreement calls for a 10-year lease followed by a 5-year extension or extensions, with the Saints retaining the right to exercise each extension. If all the extensions are agreed upon, it would run through 2055. The deal adds a new provision absent from the Saints' current lease, requiring arbitration and potential equitable damages, measures designed to discourage any future owner from moving a team out of New Orleans. The exact amount of the relocation penalty hasn't been finalized, but sources say that it could reach as much as $250 million to move the team out of New Orleans. The two sides have wanted to sign a lease by September the 17th because that's the date an NFL owners subcommittee on special events will meet to begin considering who will host the Super Bowl beyond 2028. New Orleans hopes to be invited to bid on the 2031 Super Bowl, but it can only do so if the Saints have a signed lease agreement in effect for the year of the game. So that's Times-Picayune, kind of adding to this data. But there you go, fam. We're talking big bread here. $250 million seems like pocket change to a team worth billions of dollars. But in the end, I don't think many people want to pay that kind of money to move the team out of here. So, and the Saints, like I've been saying before, the Saints are, they got all kind of sweetheart deals with the state, behind us. Not only just the lease to be in the Dome, but the Saints also, the owner owns the Pelicans, so they have they're not mentioning that a deal, but the same group that handles the control of the Superdome controls the Smoothie King Center. So they're big money involved, man, with the New Orleans Saints, man, to be honest with you. So just a little game for y'all on that. And also let me kind of hit y'all with a little of the roster right here to kind of look at right here, as we know that the New Orleans Saints are dealing with some issues. Here you can see with the injury, you see Dylan Redunce, all this kind of stuff. Tolly is supposed to play coming up against them. We'll do our Saints 49er preview tomorrow on Friday. See Chase Young is questionable. Chris Rump, if he's not good to go, expects to see a similar setup like we've seen with Fadil Diggs being activated. Him and Jonah Williams, as Chris Rump is in there as well. Cam Jordan did benefited from having that extra time as well. He had a sack and a half too. He'll be happy. He'll be good to be used as well. And of course, we know that Julian Blackman is out. He's done. You see, Jonas Sanker moved into that starting role next to Justin Reed. And of course, the Saints recognized and knew that when we seen nobody get signed in terms of the free agents and all this kind of stuff, Monday or Tuesday, we knew that the Saints more than likely were going to pivot to Jonas Sanker and see how he acts in that role. Next to Justin Reed. Now, I remember Julian Blackman was signed after Tyrann Mathieu retired, and Blackman would have been maybe a stopgap option for the Saints, but Sanker picked up some experience for that year. But now Jonas is stepping in the starting role next to Justin Reed. And we've been seeing a lot of positive stuff from Mr. Sanker throughout training camp and even into the preseason. Stepping in there now, man, as he's getting his first time starting. It's going to be interesting for the young guy, man. It's just, will he be, how would it be for Jonas Sanker stepping in and starting for the black and gold? Well, let's hear from him.
Alongside Justin Reed, like, what are the feelings that you have knowing that it's just week 2 in the NFL for you?
Just excited. Just been preparing all summer and had a lot of time to kind of get used to the system and just used to the way they do things. So really just excited, ready to get rolling.
What's some of the advice that you've gotten from Justin? He said he was in the same position his rookie season.
Just to play fast and just, trust what you see out there and not overthink anything. So keeping it simple.
Does anything change from your preparation week 1, week 2?
No, I think, that same focus and preparation has to be consistent, throughout the whole time, whether you're starting or not, just to create good habits. So nothing really changed.
One of the things that Ellen praised you about was playing physically, having a physicality, but doing so in a disciplined way. Where does that balance come from for you?
I think just, that's just a mentality. I don't know really where it comes from. I think that's just, a lifestyle. And I think, I've had that approach, my whole life. And just, really when I tackle any problem, just to do it head on and full force. So yeah, that's really it.
You feel
All right, Jonas Sanker, man, say he ready for positive stuff to happen, man, for the black and gold, man. He'll be taking the field for the Saints, man, and that's that safety spot. And I'm pretty sure the black and gold will elevate another player when the time comes to kind of move in that spot. We know the Saints do have a couple of guys, a couple of safeties. I mean, they do have Ugo who could play the safety position if they need him, if he's the backup nickel guy behind him. According to the depth chart, they do have Burgess, Terrell Burgess, who actually was pretty solid in camp. He's also on the practice squad. Burgess is not a rookie or an undrafted. A rookie or first-year player. Burgess has been in the NFL for 5 years. So he could jump in there. If you need to activate him, man, Terrell Burgess could be a guy. We'll see what the Saints do. So it's going to be interesting. But Jonas Sanker, man, is the guy for the Saints, man, picking up with us missing out on Julian Blackmon. Like Slim said, it's Sanker time, man. So let's get it. All right, fam. So anyway, man, listen, that's going to do it for the stream. Listen, fam, I'm going to let y'all guys know that I'm going to be back tomorrow here for the Black and Gold. We'll have the 49ers, Saints 49er preview show. Got a special guest. A guest is supposed to pop in here. We'll see. We can make the schedule mesh. If not, then I'll do a preview tomorrow. It's what's going to happen anyway on Friday. So y'all be looking out for that. Y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the share button, man. We're going to be up in this thing, man. Saints gearing up to take care of a business against a banged up 49er team, man. In the dome, we got to handle our business, man. No doubt about it. Enough of all of the talk. Correct your mistakes and keep it pushing, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's this week to week, man. Things happen fast in this NFL. Adjust or die. That's a great shirt, by the way. Adjust or die. That's the theme right there. Adjust or die. Bottom line. That's real. All right, with that said, I'm out of here, man. I appreciate y'all. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm gonna holler at y'all on the flip side. Much love and peace to you.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shade for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL. When things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, Buggy like this and I'm a Who Dat. Every day I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a Who Dat. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
TheWhoThatDaily.com. That's right, TheWhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who Dat and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. TheWhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who Dat in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and Who Dat too.